Can we beat Elite Bloonarius with only boats? That leaves us with a whopping 2 towers to work with, the Buccaneers and Brickell. We'll start by putting a 002 boat down in the middle pool of spa pits. I chose this map because of the long track, tons of water, and plenty of spike piles. Because spa pits has a tar pits Easter egg, we get 6 piles of spikes instead of the usual one, and with these we'll have a much easier early game. We need to make tons of money if this is going to work, so we stayed with only our buck until we could afford the merchantman upgrade. It was painful not having Benjamin equipped or putting down our free dart monkey, but going into round 14, we finally had enough money for the upgrade. Now we'll be making an extra $220 per round, and the first thing we spent the money on was Grape Shot, an upgrade that brought our projectile count up from 1 to 7 on each side of the boat. Then we followed it up with another merchantman, getting him on round 22. This doesn't even come close to how much money we'd normally be making in a boss event, but I'm hoping the easy map will help us overcome that. But here we had a decision. Keep getting merchantmen as we need this to start snowballing, or we can get Brickell as her level 3 ability, Naval Tactics, will help a ton on tough rounds and the boss. And while we maybe should have pushed her off more, we chose to get our hero now. For the rest of the 20s and 30s though, we got more and more 003 Buccaneers. And this was so inefficient that we only got 6 of them by the time we had to start prepping for Bloonarius. We did this by getting a 320 destroyer at the front of the track with plans of making it an aircraft carrier on round 40. And we timed this almost perfectly, as we were only $45 short when Bloonarius spawned. This, combined with Naval Tactics, can get through Bloonarius' health bar, but the rushes of 70 ceramics at each skull scared me a bit. So on the opposite side of the map, I built another destroyer. I wasn't sure if we'd have to upgrade it to an aircraft carrier, but after watching the second and third skulls, I figured we'd be fine, especially after we started placing more merchantmen in the middle pool. The nice thing about boat farming is that on top of making more money with every Buccaneer, you also get a little more defense, especially if you pick up Grape Shot along the way. We kept placing more merchantmen in the middle spa until it was completely full. Then we upgraded a few boats to flavored trades to get that plus 10% sellback on our destroyer and aircraft carrier, as we had no need for them once we popped Bloonarius on round 51, but we did need their money. After selling them, we only had to wait one more round before we had the 23k needed to build the Trade Empire, the tier 5 upgrade of the Bucks bottom path. Now, every merchantman we place will make each one of them make more money per round, scaling incredibly fast. This buff caps out at 20 merchantmen, so we place them until round 57 where we hit this limit. And now it's time to prepare for the tier 2 fight. We put an aircraft carrier up front and saved up until we could make it a carrier flagship, something that'll do tons of damage to the boss and buff the rest of our boats. This did not burn through Bloonarius' health quickly though. Even with the Naval Tactics, it took until around 62 to hit the first skull, and the BFBs inside weren't that easy to take out. Now, I wanted a Pirate Lord ASAP, as we might not have the damage to hold off the BFB rushes once Bloonarius gets further, but I knew farming came first. So we upgraded all our merchantmen to flavored trades, crosspath them with Grape Shot, and then bought the Pirate Lord. Using his hooks and or Brickell's Megamine helped out a ton with the rest of the skulls, and we were able to beat this tier 2 fight on round 72, leaving us only 8 rounds to prep for the next encounter. After the Pirate Lord, we spent all our money placing more bottom path bucks, so our income was actually pretty good, but it's still spooky being this close to the next fight when the tier 2 wasn't exactly easy. It took until round 78 to fill out spa pits with 004s, leaving us with no money and only 2 rounds until Bloonarius returned. The plan is to get a Navok of the Seas, but that costs $550,000, and when Bloonarius spawned, we only had 80 grand. So we have a ways to go. I just tried to do as little damage to Bloonarius as possible while also beating the natural rounds, as our boats only generate money at the end of each round. There was just one problem. Each skull we hit spawns 9 DDTs and a bad, and our Pirate Lord and Carrier flagship don't have camo detection, so we have to get creative. At the first skull, we popped the 9 DDTs with Naval Tactics, and once the bad broke open, we popped the 3 inside with a Mega Mine. This seemed like it was going to work great, but there's one hurdle left. We're quickly approaching the 90s, where DDTs spawn naturally, and if they time it right, we'll be unprepared for them. Which is exactly what happened on round 93. We used a mine for the normal spawns and Naval Tactics for Bloonarius' DDTs, but once the bad broke open, we didn't have an answer. I tried to pull them in with the Pirate Lord, but Brickell's sea mines only decamoed one of the 3, letting the other 2 break for the exit. We reloaded this round and had a few seconds to buy hot shot on as many flavored trades as we could, and this was surprisingly enough damage to break their outer layers. But you may be wondering, Josh, why is this even a problem? You have the money for a nav arc. Well, my fellow viewers, it's not that simple. You see, the tier 5 fight will be much tougher than this one, so I want to set us up for success. Once we build this nav arc, we'll be making much less money per round than we are right now, so I want us to have a bunch of leftover money to place more boats. And on top of this, the nav arc is almost a degree 60, and if we can make it there, it'll get a ton of bonus boss damage. So we sat on this money, letting the rounds pass and the balloons get far, all while we get more pops and cash generated on our Buccaneers. But we can't wait forever, because if Bloonarius is still alive when round 100 starts, it's an auto loss. So on round 98, we finally pulled the trigger and made the Buccaneer Paragon, a degree 60 nav arc with almost 200k left over. This might have been a bit close, as 98 and 99 aren't the longest rounds, but Bloonarius' health bar dropped faster than my bank account during a Steam sale. This insane tower might be enough to get us the win, but I'm not satisfied yet. We started filling the water with a trade empire and flavored trades once again, as the nav arc lets this buff effect up to 40 boats now. So some of our flavored trades will be making $1,720 per round. Plus, we don't have to worry about the tier 4 boss, as our Paragon is that strong. The tier 5 fight, though, is a bit tougher. Elite Bloonarius will come in with 40 million health, so I want an even bigger nav arc. We farmed our little hearts out, getting the last flavored trades on round 106, letting us make just over $1 million by round 120. We sold our degree 60 Paragon and made a new one, 10 degrees stronger. We don't get any large bonus at degree 70, but we'll take the extra damage. It's like adding an extra slice of ham to a sandwich. Unnecessary? Maybe, but definitely better. And with this, we hit play. Brickell and a degree 70 nav arc of the seas versus Elite Bloonarius. His health wasn't melting like the last 2 fights, but his bloon spawns were. Even when we hit a skull, the fortified bads didn't last too long, especially when we used his upgraded hook on one of them just for fun. And to boost Brickell's damage, we constantly use naval tactics and her level 20 Megamind to help out. But with only boats, we beat tier 5 Elite Bloonarius on round 131, about 40% of the way through spa pits. The hardest 2 fights were definitely tiers 1 and 3 though, as we really had to set ourselves up for success. But if you liked this challenge, you should click this video where we speedrun Bloonarius with a brand new account.